Monday attitude, Glorey, Mora. I want to, you know what, first thing I think right off the bat, I want to go over how you spell your first name and then how you say it.
Am I
correctly.
close enough to the microphone?
You are. You can kind of hear yourself in a little bit. Come like a little bit closer like that.
Because you sound very professional.
But it's good. You have like a voice that like
Thank
travels,
you.
so you're good.
Thank you.
An excellent voice. Go ahead. Yes, sorry.
So my first name, you spell it Glorelys.
As you guys see right here in Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, absolutely.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
but you say Glorelys.
Oh, Glorelys.
What did you think it was?
Well, that's the thing. Sometimes when I see it, I thought it was Glorelys or like Glories.
Glorelys is cute.
Glories.
Yeah, my friend.
And I'm sure you get that a lot, Glories.
Well, Dan, first of all, today when I went into the office, my coworker was like, Glorelys. I was like, oh my God, I thought he knew my name. And no, it's just fine. It's just fine. And then, you know, Dan Lamort?
Yes,
my friend that is dating him, she was like, "Oh, he calls
Colleen."
You. Yes.
Okay.
I didn't know if I didn't want to. I don't like name dropping names.
Oh,
my
good.
God,
We're name. I mean, this is a
gossiping.
comic podcast. We're just gonna be name dropping the entire
so
time.
She was like, "Dan calls you Glorelys," and I'm like, "Oh, I was calling him Dan Lamorte, and I thought he was French."
Oh, so you guys are even there.
Yeah, it's fine, but it's Glorelys.
Okay, that's how you say it in. What are you?
I'm Dominican, but I guess my mom made it up, so I guess it's in every language.
Okay, has anyone ever brought you on the stage as Glory's Mora though?
No, not really.
Really?
No, because they don't know how to say it. People they get nervous. I'm like, girl, I'm gonna just call you Glorey.
Or they'll ask you beforehand?
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of asking you things, are you free April 12th, 7 p.m. for Stowe at the show at the Stand? Ted Jones Comedy Show. Okay, we'll follow up after this.
We'll do the spreadsheet.
But yes, absolutely. Glorey, you guys will catch her at the Stand. And I actually saw, I can't remember what program it was on, but you went on like a blind date with some guy. Was that on Vice?
Oh
Yeah. I saw that. That guy was so funny. That guy was like, yo, yeah, you got to get your clout up, got to get the followers. You were like, I seen your followers. You're doing it well.
You're like, no, I feel bad because that video was like from 3 years ago.
It's pretty old, right? Yeah, it seemed like you had just gotten into comedy at that point.
Yeah. And I had, I posted because I think it's funny, but I think he's like moved on in a relationship and everything. So every time it comes up, it's like, he's not even that person anymore. I'm like, oh my God, I feel bad. But it's a funny video. He's a really talented person.
Okay.
Like he's like an illustrator. He's done like Childish Gambino's like videos and stuff, like legit.
Okay,
so I felt bad, but he was hilarious. It was great comedic timing.
Yeah. So what have you been doing just besides, doing sets at night? You talked briefly about your, is it a day job? I can call it that during the day.
I do. I work
Fuse.
at Fuse. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you do during the day at Fuse, and then obviously you start comedy probably around 7 p.m. each night?
Yeah. My whole life is. I don't think people would believe me if they knew all the shit that I was doing.
Let's hear it. Come on. We got time.
So like a typical week, last week was like an example of a typical week. I work at Fuse during the day. So like, you know, it's 10 to 6. So I wake up a little bit later. I do a bunch of like project management for like the TV shows there or whatever. It's a small like company. So I can like I don't want to be on all of the projects, but I'll pitch people like, oh, you should do this, you should do that, whatever. Right. And then we'll do stuff together. And then the job is pretty flexible. So sometimes I squeeze in gigs during the job. So last week I squeezed in a writer's gig. So it was only like 3 times. We met 3 times during the week. So I just really recently like wrote. I was doing like punch-up consulting for a web series that's going to Audible.
What does that mean?
So like they wrote the script. Everything was written. It's already ready to go. But they wanted to make it funnier. So they get a bunch of like people that are funny. And we all just riff off like, oh, you should do this and this part, whatever. Because sometimes the people that were writing the show, it's about a Dominican woman that went to Yale and came back to the city and like was trying to find her place again. But the people that wrote it, a lot of them are like West Coast Latinos. So it's a whole like thing. And I'm from the East Coast, so there's a different experience. So like some of the naming conventions are off. I'm like, oh, you want to make it more authentic, you should call it this, or you should say that. Okay. So I was like adding in the authenticity just to make sure, the fact checking and the jokes.
You don't do any in front of camera stuff at Fuse?
Well, sometimes.
Like on camera stuff?
It depends what show it is. My whole thing just came off. My hair just came off.
What do you mean your hair came off?
Well, I wrapped my hair around.
And it came off?
Yeah.
Don't worry, nobody notices.
Okay. I hope yeah. No, but it depends what show it is. So like we're working on a show with comics, and it's coming out in April. And if there's people that I want to talk to, like I'll interview them and I'll volunteer for that.
Do you have the comics that you've already chosen for that particular show?
Yeah.
You're just not allowed to talk about it right now because it's not out.
Yeah.
We'll forget about that part. I think I actually sent a DM to, let me actually check my DMs to Fuse.
When? Recently?
I send emails. Okay, so I sent DMs to Netflix, Hulu and Amazon Prime. I was like, you guys should just follow me around to my comedy shows and podcasts and vlog. I didn't get a response, but I figured, I don't know, maybe if you were managing the account, you would have responded.
I've been pitching.
You want to hear what I wrote?
When did you write it?
I wrote on March 11th.
This is recent?
This is pretty recently.
My boss probably responded.
No, I didn't get a response, but it said, "Hi, I'm a comic from New York City, and I host comedy shows weekly in Manhattan. You guys should follow me around. This would be an amazing show. Happy to speak on the phone, Ted."
I love it. That's a quick elevator pitch. You said.
Yeah, they didn't respond, but whatever. I figured like if I just sent out enough of those, whatever. And then in general, like that's how I get to know a lot of people.
Oh yeah, I do like manifesting shit all the time.
Yeah,
like that's why I like people at first. When I've had a few conversations with people after they get to know me, they're like, "Oh wow, she's such a nice girl. Mm-hmm. She's not as obnoxious." But I always like drop everything, even if it's something small on the internet, because then people are like, "What is she working on? I want to work with her. I want to do this." I'm like, well, so it just adds to like the everyone's work, like we're all.
Well, you're very personable.
Yeah, I'm so nice.
So, but I remember that there was a time when you were talking about zodiac signs a lot, and then you told me that you were done doing that, but now are you back on it? Oh, you're moving away from it?
It depends, like if people talk about it, I'll give them I have all this information.
We talked about this. You're a Gemini, and I'm a Scorpio.
And you're a Scorpio.
Yes.
And I get along with you.
Yes, we get along well.
Yeah, but you're like October?
No, November 13th.
Okay, interesting.
And you're what? June 15th.
Yeah, June 15th.
Okay.
I mean, I'm trying my best here, Ted. I'm giving Scorpios. I'm actually doing a podcast after this with another Scorpio.
Oh, really?
Her name is Sam.
Okay, nice.
And it might be your moon sign or
name
something.
job. What does that mean? Like we're all like it's our time?
No, maybe like your emotion, the way that you are emotionally. Like I vibe with you.
Okay, because in general, like Gemini partners though, like girls I haven't gotten along with, but males I do. Yeah. Male Geminis, and like, also girls who are Geminis who I don't have like a relationship.
That's what I'm saying. Like we're gonna be great friends. Yes. Yeah, but if we were dating, absolutely. Like
it would work for a little bit, but then I'd get possessive, and then what would you do?
That'd be crazy.
Yeah. Like, you'd be like mean a little bit. This has happened to me before, so I know how it works.
Mean?
Guys. Yeah, that's how Gemini girls are to Scorpio men.
Because Scorpio men, y'all be doing this shit where you just stop acting like you're interested. Like
no, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know.
That's so funny. No, I've dated actually a few loves of my life have been Scorpios.
And did it end okay?
I was traumatized. That's why I started comedy.
Was this the most recent relationship that you were telling me about? No, this was a while ago.
Yeah, this is like college.
So
I dated a football player who was a Scorpio.
Where did you go to college?
I went to Syracuse.
Oh my God! So he was a serious baller. You know, I went to UConn. I didn't know you went to Syracuse. Okay. That's amazing. My sister actually went to Syracuse.
What year is she?
She graduated probably about 4 years ago.
Oh no!
So she's a little bit younger than us. But yeah, I went up to the Carrier Dome for her graduation. Like each other. And then I was up there like last week visiting my grandpa who lives in DeWitt.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so he used to be like a big Syracuse basketball guy. Took me to football games at the Carrier Dome. And UConn Syracuse, as you know, huge basketball rivals.
Absolutely.
So it was super fun.
So I shouldn't be here because you're Scorpio and because you went to UConn. You were just going No, but by the time I dated him, Syracuse basketball wasn't that good.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was like, they were just coming back. They had switched to coaches or some shit.
Okay. Well, the basketball guy's been there for a long time.
You
Jim mean the football?
Whatever.
Jim Boeheim.
Jim Boeheim. He's been there forever. He's a certified pillar of the basketball
Yes,
community.
Absolutely. But
he was a football player.
You're okay.
So he wasn't that.
What position did he play?
Wide receiver.
Oh my God! Yeah. So you're just dating the dream guy of Syracuse. Considering the basketball team wasn't that good at that point.
No, he was like string 3. Like he wasn't even
gonna. He wasn't playing.
He was not gonna play.
Did he like try and play pro ball in Canada or something?
No. He ended up playing like one. I remember one game he played, and I went to that game. I was like, look at him on TV.
Did you paint your face with the S?
I did. I had like a half. When I believe in a cause, I believe in a cause.
You and all your girls?
Yeah, I had half blue, half orange.
Yes.
Yeah, and I used the rest of that paint later that year to be Mystique for Halloween.
Oh, okay,
so
nice.
I went all blue.
Good double combo. Yeah, how cold is it up there? Oh my,
it's freezing.
Gosh, where'd you grow up initially though?
I grew up here in Harlem, Washington Heights.
Oh, okay, so you're like used to the cold.
But it's a different type of cold.
Yeah.
It's so cold I didn't even feel nothing.
Like I think it's probably like 10 degrees colder at any given time during the winter. So you grew up in Washington Heights. Mm-hmm. Where'd you go to high school?
Environmental studies.
Okay,
so is that like around 50 something street? No. It's across from John Jay.
I went to professional children's school.
Wait, children or performing arts?
No, not the PPAS.
Wait, why would they
professional children?
What the fuck is professional children?
So I used to play tennis very seriously, and I went to for high school, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. I went to professional children's school to become more serious of a tennis player. So if I needed to leave on a Thursday and go down to Florida for a tournament for the weekend, they would send me the homework, and if I needed to take a test, I take it on the Thursday instead of the Friday or the Monday when I came back.
Okay,
so I just
preferential
had
treatment.
Sure, exactly.
Okay.
So I just had like a lenient schedule.
Okay,
and that's why I went to professional children's school, which is around the corner from John Jay.
Oh, well, I was a few blocks away.
So you were on 55th between
56. I don't know.
We were between Columbus and Amsterdam, so that's like right there.
No, I was on the other side.
West side?
I was like by, I don't know, 10th Ave, 9th Ave.
Yeah. Columbus and Amsterdam.
Yeah.
It's like right around. I think Columbus and Amsterdam probably starts like right above 55th Street.
Yeah.
There are a ton of schools in that area. MLK, LaGuardia, PPAS. That's funny.
I got rejected from PPAS.
Okay.
Yeah, and LaGuardia.
So what were you trying to do when you were getting into those schools? Acting or singing?
I can't sing.
Okay.
I can act.
Well, you actually, can fool a lot of people with you singing, right? You look like Rihanna over here. We'll talk about that later, though.
Actually, I can't act. That's why I didn't get into the school.
Okay.
But now
you could potentially sing, maybe.
No, I mean, I could lip sync.
Okay.
I could lip sync the shit out of a song. Thank you.
Yes.
But I think now with stand up, I'm able to like be in roles now. So like I'll do like a sketch or whatever. I'm like, oh, I could do this. Learn lines day of.
So you're killing it recently at the stand. You're hosting a ton of shows each month, and then I'd agree. And then you're also in the lineup on house shows, and then you're on producer shows as well. Ted Jones Comedy Show, hopefully April 12th.
I'll be there.
We'll get you back in the mix.
Let me the sketch.
We got to check your sketch. But when did you start getting a ton of gigs where your calendar filled up? Between like 30 and 40 gigs a month.
I think so. The first 2 years of stand up, I was doing the whole like, hey, book me. I still do that. Like, I still reach out to people like, hey, book me. But some of the times people like don't end up looking at your shit. But
you send like a little teaser
at the beginning of the month. I'm like, hey, I would like to do your show. Like, I have like an Excel sheet of like shows I want to do, whatever. So I have on my list. I'm like, I'll reach out to this person, whatever.
Smart.
But yeah, the first 2 years, my goal, my first year was like, oh, I want to do like 30 shows this year. It was such a cute goal. Like, look, I look back at my spreadsheet. So I met like each year, I show the number of shows I did. So the first year in comedy, I did 30 shows.
So you just wanted to do one every other week.
But I didn't know. Okay, like the thing about doing shows, and I always tell this to people, it's like, it's important, to be out there, right? Like all the time. But it's like, what is the intention behind that stage time, right? Like if you're going to do it, like, are you learning a new skill? Are you meeting people? Like, what is the learning lesson? So I'm like, for me this year, I was like, I just want to be up 5 times once a week, maybe twice a week. But I get so many requests. So
You're talking about this year?
Well, this year I was just trying to take it back. I was trying to take a step back because I really wanted to work on the writing part of.
So you went from 30 your first year.
I went to 30 to like 200 to 300 to now. I'm pretty much booked every day. Yeah, but. What I'm saying is that I was in the first 2 years, I was doing a lot of like manual reaching out. And then now it's kind of like people reach out to me.
Beautiful.
But we're in a good place in comedy because now there's so many like there's so many shows. So you don't have to just be at the club. This is my first time. This is like the first year and a half that I started doing club shows. So before I was just all over. I was doing bar shows, everywhere.
So besides the stand, where are you a lot?
Well, I do New York Comedy Club.
I've seen you there, yes.
Yeah, and I'm trying to do... So my goal I always have like, like when you went to, I don't know, in high school, if your guidance counselor was like, you should have reach schools. And you should have,
yes. Yes. The worst.
Every year I have like, these are my safety schools for sure locked in. And I have reach like goals. So my reach goal this year was to just be on the stage at the Cellar.
And that happened.
And that's why I tell people you got to write your goals out because like shit happens because you start these are your goals.
We see all this stuff. I've talked to you guys before on the podcast about all the stuff I have in the apartment.
I thought those are recipes.
I just have. If you want to take a second to stand up and look at all that, you can absolutely do that. But yeah, I have all words and stuff, and then also before I leave the apartment, I got little notes there. But
that's so cute. Are they affirmations?
All over the place.
Like love yourself. Fuck what everyone thinks
about
you.
Okay. Well, it's not. They're goals that mean that.
Okay.
Who knows you? Be that guy.
Who knows you?
You know what I mean? Literally.
But who knows you?
That's the point of the thing. Who knows you? It's not who you know. Who knows you? Like who knows you? You know, that's an important part than you knowing other people. It's who knows you, who knows Glorey Mora.
I thought it was
sliding into DM.
I thought it was more like who knows you more than you.
That's also true.
Okay.
That's 2 in 1. That's like me when I go vegan. People are like, why are you vegan? I'm like, well, because of my health, for the animals, and for the planet. Wow, 3 in 1.
Wow.
3 in 1. But you know I'm vegan as a man.
No, I know. We spoke about that. This. Yeah. And we were talking about how we got to change the diet a little bit just for some fun.
Yes.
Like just to add
yes. I'm happy you said that because a lot of people get concerned when they hear I just eat chickpeas and beans out of the can because I'm just a simple guy. Food is not, I know people do get like a lot of pleasure out of food. I don't get so much pleasure out of food. I just get pleasure out of just like
Are you in your
smoking
20s
weed,
or your 30s?
Eating an iced coffee. Nice. I'm 30 and a half.
Okay, because I don't know what the shift happened, but at one point I was like, I really love food. Like I love the experience of food. It doesn't have to be. I just like the experience.
Do you like anything in particular, like Dominican food in general?
No, I mean I like everything. I'm just fucking hungry all the time now. I just don't know why. I think it was a pandemic.
Okay.
Yeah. So this was great because I left my apartment today. So I'm gonna knock everything out. I'm gonna return that Zara outfit that didn't fit. I'm gonna do 2 podcasts. I went to work. I knocked it all in one day because I'm not leaving my house tomorrow.
I like Zara.
Yeah, I probably said that shit wrong. I keep saying Zara wrong.
What'd you say?
I said
Zara.
Yeah.
Zara. Well, yeah, Zara.
Yeah.
Zara.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah. I like to sometimes, depending what show it is, I like to like dress up for some of the shows. So, you know, because then the internet is so important in your career now, and I hate all my photos.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm probably going to hate this video.
No, you're absolutely going to love it. The color's good. You guys are loving it. By the way, Spotify, if you guys didn't notice, you're listening on Spotify right now. Yes, we have video on Spotify. Very exclusive. You see Glorey Mora there. Yeah, not a lot of people have it. It's very exclusive.
Wow.
Very fired up about that. Thank you, Spotify. Yeah. But yes, we also have this on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, all over the place. Anywhere you guys listen to podcasts, you guys are listening to this podcast. But okay, getting dressed up before a show, I like that.
It depends what show. I can't do it for all the shows.
Okay.
I can't do it for all the shows. It's too much energy.
Well, when you're putting on one specific outfit, you could be in that outfit for 5 shows that night, no?
Yeah, but usually I'll do it for like a big, like a milestone. Like when I opened up for Ida and Caroline's a few years ago. I'm like, this is a milestone. I need to, you know, have that moment.
How much time did you do on the show?
Maybe like 15 minutes.
Okay, nice.
And then I hosted in between.
And you did more than one show.
I did like 3 shows that weekend.
3 shows, nice.
Yeah. So it's also nice to see like, I think that there's different levels to comedy. Like there's different grinds at the moment. So it's like right now we're in the like I want to get book grinds, but then one day it's gonna be like, oh, I have to like do headlining grinds. And there's so many different types of grinds. I think people sometimes have a hard time setting goals. So they looked at other people like, oh, they're having such a great time in comedy. I'm like, some of it is a lie. Thank you, because a lot of my friends don't believe in me. So I have to pretend that I'm doing well until it starts happening.
Mm-hmm. Well, also, I was talking with another comic previously about how so many of the gigs, for the most part, when you're doing bar shows, are just not paid. You know, like I like a lot of shows when you're doing house shows or you're doing producer shows at comedy clubs, those are paid, but there are just like a ton, even in New York City, that are just not paid.
Well, I like to. Well, for the most part, sometimes I get surprised when I get paid. I just forget. I'm like, oh my God, this is paid.
Yeah.
Because I'm very frazzled right now. You know, there was a time when I was living off of comedy. So I was following up, like, was really good, you know? But now, you know, after the pandemic, I was able to I had to get a full-time job because the pandemic, I wasn't doing comedy. But my job is super flexible. So I'm like grateful for that. So now I'm just like, it depends what show it is and who is asking, right? Like for me, I have a rule. If you're not in the comedy community, you better not come to me trying to like rip me off for some like cheap ass show. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're if you're a book, like you're not in the comedy community, right? Like there are people that put shows together and they're like, oh, I want to book comics, and they don't really know what they're doing and they try to rip us off. And it's like, I have to have boundaries. But if it's like my friend, then it's like, sure, like I don't care. Like I'm gonna be here for all my friends. But then there's other shows where it's like you're selling tickets, so like you should be paying comics. I don't know. Like every show has a unique situation to it. I don't like to. It depends. It's a weird conversation.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, if somebody is, in my opinion, if somebody is selling tickets, I mean, they have to pay.
No, but there are
like,
people that have
standard,
like
100%.
Yeah, some people have not. And I also think for me is an energy thing, right? Like I produce shows too, and I'm like, I want to make sure people come to my show, they feel taken care of, right? Like as much as I can from that moment, I'll get you their photos, I'll pay you as much as I can. I want to make sure you have your drinks. Like I think comedy is very about hospitality as well. So that's the way I like to treat people. So I think it's a karma thing too. So I've been lucky enough where people like, they respect me, they pay me whatever, even if it's like $20, whatever. Sometimes I get paid $10, like whatever. It adds up on Venmo. It adds up. I'm just saying.
No, yeah, especially when you're doing the 5 sets a night, for sure.
Yeah, it adds up. So it's like, I also think how much money you want to make is also a goal that you have to set out for yourself too. So I'm like, all right, so I want to make $1,000 a month through comedy. I know that half of these shows are going to be paid by the club or like a produced show.
But why only 1,000?
Well, it was like a small.
So why wouldn't you make it 10,000
off of performing?
Yeah.
Ted? I don't know if the comedy economy can do that. I don't know.
Potentially. What happens if you start headlining though? They want you to headline 3 dates in upstate New York.
But I
can, tally out to that.
I hear you, but I also feel like it also depends like where you feel like you are. I don't know. Like right now, I feel like I want to get past like clubs. Like that's where.
Well, how much time do you feel you're comfortable on stage giving right now?
Like 30, 30, 45 if they're paying well. I could
you could do 45.
I could always do a lot. It depends what the budget is and who's asking. I could do anything, But I've had people approach me like agents, like I want to do tours, I want to do stuff with you. I'm like, I need to figure out first. I think it's important to have your personal foundation set. Is that crazy?
What do you mean by that?
Like, I just need to make sure I feel good about life outside of comedy.
Totally. Yeah. I don't think people worry about that enough.
Yeah, I feel like I have
a good balance.
Yeah, because comedy, I give a lot to comedy. So I'm like, if I'm gonna spend 80 hours here a week, I need to at least make sure like I feel like my home is good, like my body's good, and that I have a routine, and then I could give comedy everything. I know it's weird because some people look at that like, oh, you should be at comedy 24/7. I'm like, I can't give to this craft if I don't feel good.
Absolutely.
So I need
it's a mental thing.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that I want to work through this year before I'm like, okay, I could go on tour and I could ask for all this money. But again, I just think it's also at different levels, right? When I first started, I wasn't asking to get paid at all because I'm like, I need to get stage time, right? But now it's like I have a few credits. I know for a fact that I'm funny. At first I was, for working.
Yeah, she is funny. Glorey is funny. She actually is.
At first you working on some jokes like, oh no, I'm funny. And then after a while, like you hear enough, I'm like, I know that I'm funny. So you're not like wasting money on me, booking me. So now I'm like, I can ask for money, but people make you feel bad for asking for money sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, like one time I was angry that day because I did a show where I was the only woman on the lineup, and I found that I got paid the least.
Oh, that's fucked.
Yeah.
Wait, how many guys were on the show?
There was like 4 other guys, but the reason why I took the spot was I didn't have it. It wasn't like a booked spot. It was like somebody dropped out, so they needed me to fill in, and the person that dropped out told me they were paying $200. So I'm like, absolutely, I'm going. But then when I got there, the booker was like, yeah, we changed things around. We're going to give you 50. And I'm already here. I'm like, okay, that sounds a little bit like fucked up.
Well, how did the conversation start between the person who you were replacing and you though? Like the person was like, hey, she
had COVID. She couldn't do it.
Yes.
She's like, I'm getting paid $200. It's a $200 gig. So like, girl, I'm in there.
Okay, absolutely.
Yeah. But then when I got there, the booker, he didn't know me. Like I'm in a weird place where it's like, not a weird place. I think it's a great place to be where if you're in the community, you know who I am.
Yes.
But I'm still not really well known. So I could some people be like, oh, she's a girl. She's doing comedy. I'm going to give her $50. And that's the energy that I was getting.
I don't like that. I'd be mad too.
Right.
I really hate that.
Yeah. So the next day I had put a post. I was like, especially because I live really far. So I'm like, if I'm leaving my bubble.
And the comedy club you went to was not in the bubble.
No, it was on the other side. It was like, because I obviously grew up uptown and I know the Bronx, but it was on some other part of the Bronx that I had never been to before. I was like, this shit was far. But it was just like a lot of people in Brooklyn will hit me up to do shows. I'm like, if this shit is, I need to, because then what ends up happening is I end up in Brooklyn at midnight. I'm not taking the train. I end up spending $80 for Uber. So I'm like, the least you could do is cover a stipend or offset some of my costs.
Yes.
But some people took that as offensive. Like, who the fuck do you think you are asking to get paid? We've gone through all these things in comedy. I'm like, so I totally get it. As an artist, it's important. I think it's part of the narrative that we have to struggle to be great. And I promise you, I've struggled, but I'm tired. And I feel like the least you could do is at least, I don't know, make sure that I'm taken care of when I go over there because I'm doing something.
Have you felt you've been treated unfairly? I mean, besides that's pretty bad.
You know what it is, Ted? I think that some people, everyone produces shows differently. So it's not like I've ever been treated like everyone I feel respects me And I think that's a great place to be.
Yeah.
But I think some people don't, I always say like, it's more like a skill set. Like they don't understand like, you know, the importance of making people feel good when they come to your, they're coming to your production. You created this thing. You know, when I came here, you say, I mean, make sure you got some water, whatever you need. Like you created this thing. So it's like, you're bringing me into your world. Like make me feel comfortable, you know, into Ted Jones' world, you know, make me feel, but that's just me. And I realize as I'm about to be 32 this year, you can't expect you from everybody. So I'm okay. Like sometimes it's fine. I'm like, you know, that's a lesson somebody else has to learn. But then people were talking mad shit about me, which is like kind of like good because people were talking about me. But it's also like then people stopped booking me for shows in Brooklyn. They're like, I thought you didn't come to Brooklyn. That's not what I said. I said pay me $50 to leave the borough.
Yeah. Well, but it makes sense. I mean, especially when you're racking up a lot of money, especially when you're doing multiple shows at a place like The Stand. You know, Brooklyn is far from Washington Heights. That's got to be at least an hour to get there.
It's an hour,
maybe even more.
And it's also like on the train that I take earlier. I think last year they were like killing people on the train. And I'm like, if I'm gonna be out here. Let's make sure I get at least $50.
So your favorite comedy club right now, you'd say The Stand?
Stand is home base.
Yes.
They gave my first chance. I love being there. It's very on brands for Glorelys. Yeah. This is not a fact Glorelys, so I look crazy. I love being there. I have such a great time. I feel like I have seen my growth as a comic. Just, you know, and it's interesting because when I first started there, I feel like, oh my God, like maybe, I don't know, like maybe I'm not good enough. Yeah, everybody feels like that. It doesn't matter, right? But then I started, and I just started going up so much. I'm like, yo, I think I'm really good. And I used to be really scared of the main room. And now I'm like, yo, I don't give a fuck. It's scary when, especially because the Stand has a lot of like white people that go there, right? So I'm like this Dominican chick, Black Latina. I'm like, what if they don't like my content? Or what if they feel like, I don't know, like, people have preconceived notions, right? So I'm like, at first I was nervous about that because I'm like, I'm just doing comedy. I think I'm great. But I think what ended up happening was like, they all love me. Like, they're like, oh my God. Like after the show, like, I love you. So I did have that fear of like, what if like, you know, they reported me to the Stand for not liking me or something like that. But I have had a really great experience there. And I know it sounds crazy, but it's just like, it's a lot of people. I'm like, wow, there's like a lot of white people here. But I've always like, right. But I've always navigated a lot of different spaces. Like all of my friends are so diverse. Everyone's like, I've been in a lot of different spaces. So sometimes when like I'll do a joke, I think people be like, how did she know that? I'm like, bitch, I just
went to school with like a ton of white girls in
Syracuse. I have the whole corporate experience. A lot of my jokes are just me venting about my corporate experience. And then the white people are like, I love this. I'm like, baby, you part of the problem. Yeah. So yeah, I had fears of that when I first started, but I also have fears when I do my own rooms, my own culture rooms. Like, am I representing the culture good enough? Am I funny enough? So I think everyone feels like some kind of like imposter syndrome in comedy, and then your peers, you know, being at the Stand, everybody feels like they should be the person, right? Like I think every comic feels like, why not me a little bit? I think maybe I'm wrong, Ted. But I think some comics be like, okay, like maybe you have a barometer for people that I wouldn't say compare yourself to, but like we're in the same kind of like category. Like why, you know, what's working for this person, what's working for that? And I think being at the Stand I know that I got a lot of people like Glorey, but it's like, maybe not Ted. Maybe, I mean, I know a lot of people, I have a few, I wouldn't say haters, but people look at me and they think they project onto me so much, right? But they probably were like, you know, talking shit, like, you know, people that are getting passed, right? Like, why not them, whatever? And sometimes I did get imposter syndrome about that. Like, what if people were talking negatively about me? I don't know. Am I overthinking? I'm a Gemini.
Yeah, you are overthinking that.
Okay.
Well, I think for the most part, anytime I've seen you at the Stand, you're holding court. Everybody loves you, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And especially, you're right. Like crowd members will come up to you after the show. Oh my God,
they all come up to me, and I feel bad because my name is so hard to spell, so they can never find me on Instagram.
When did you start doing a bunch of spots at the Stand? Has it been like since the pandemic?
October.
Yeah,
so it feels like I've been there for a year, but I've only been there for like 6 months. But I'm there like every day.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And also like even when I don't have spots and I'm just hanging out there, it looks like you're there almost all the time.
I'm there a lot. So it feels like I've been there for a year. I feel like two different kinds of sides of me come out in different rooms. Or it could be any room, right? Like yesterday I did the Knitting Factory and I noticed like a whole different side of me came out. I don't know why. Maybe it was the glitter in the back. But I was having a good time. I was having a really good time. But yeah, I forgot we talked about like goal. What are your goals, Ted? Like, we'll talk about
interesting.
Interesting. Because I'll talk about
a
me
little
forever.
bit about me.
Yeah.
Well, so this for the moment, I retired. I'm putting that in air quotes from my dad's company in May 1st. I stopped
you were leaving
working.
Your dad?
No, I already did.
Did you quit?
I retired. I quit. Yes. Okay. So I was a property manager for him. Basically, would be running around to buildings, making sure rent's paid, everything is fine. Mechanically wise, whatever. I was doing that for 6.5 years, and throughout the 6.5 years, I was taking classes at UCB. I was doing a little bit of stand up here and there, really not much. Maybe I would get on stage like once every 2 months, something like that, if it was like an industry room or something. And then I started to get really serious about stand up when I like retired from my dad's company, which was the beginning of May last year. We did a show at Asylum NYC that went super well, and I've just like made me more confident in doing my vlogs and doing the podcast. And just working in like the corporate environment for so long, I really had so much experience, and I knew that like, okay, I know that my career in terms of being this property manager and working for my dad, my career is going to plateau until one day, maybe 10 years from now, okay, now it's my company. Yeah. So it was just something that I did not want to wait around for. And doing comedy and doing the podcast was just something that I was so passionate about. And then once I stopped working at my dad's company, like May 1st, that's when I really got involved with the vlogs. So ideally, I think that I just want to continue my career through doing these comedy shows, through doing the podcast, through doing the vlog. And I think just gaining, a bigger following, having great people on the podcast like you who will bring in, a great group of listeners, whatever that is. But I think just continuously moving forward to having more people know my name. Who knows you?
I mean, you have that on the way out, so that's important.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that and that's also the other thing. Like, I think people always feel like, I feel like there's always so much comparing that's happening. It's like everyone's on their own journey, right? Like, so the reason why I was kind of like aggressive when I first started stand up. Everyone's
on their own journey,
right? Because I had to pay rent. I was like, I need to at least. I wasn't like depending on comedy money. I was depending on like the production money. So I was making a lot of money producing shows. Because I have a marketing background. So I'm putting these shows together like, what the fuck is this girl that just came into comedy and just sold out 100 people's show? I'm like, I came in and I'm like, why are everyone's flyers ugly? Like, let's fix this, So I feel like I kind of expedited some of my journey, like a bit of my journey. But people, I don't know, like I just get a lot of feedback like, oh, you're doing too much. You're calling yourself a legend. I'm like, guys, I didn't know calling myself a legend was going to be a problem. It was supposed to be a joke. But some people miss the joke.
Because, no, I like it.
Yeah, because the joke is like, who the fuck do you think you are to call yourself a legend? I'm like, well, we're all going to die one day. Like, I'm a fucking legend. Because, I'm a living legend.
So in doing, comedy shows, and then, are you going to start a podcast or what?
A lot of people have been asking me.
Yeah, I've asked you that before, I think.
It's a lot of work.
It is.
I used to have a podcast with my friends. But it was a lot of work. Like, editing. I'm an overthinker. So after we do this podcast, I am going to ask to listen to it.
Yeah,
so I can cut some
before we
out.
cut the things out. Well, I mean, the good thing about this podcast, we haven't said anything inappropriate, and it's been flowing. The main edits I'll do, which I'll do right now. You guys are watching on YouTube. I'll do the zoom in when I'm talking, and then I'll do zoom out, and then I'll do zoom in Glorey. So like that will take a lot of time, and my vlogs take a lot of time. It's really a full-time job. The shit I'm doing right now. So
but you have to love it.
I love it, and I was blessed enough to work in my daddy's company for 6.5 years, so I had the ability to save some money over that time. And, just moving forward, as you said, just to continue on that. I love doing this. I love the vlog, and I love producing the comedy shows. I meet great people, great comics, and I meet so many people just doing that, reaching out through DMs, whatever.
I was on your last shows. Yeah, it was a vibe.
So it's been great, and as you know, at the Stand, whatever, it's all over the place, or other shows that we're doing comedy night with Ted Jones, whatever. You really never know how many people are going to come out. But the more I do shows, the more content. I mean, it's only going to continue to snowball, I believe.
Everything. I feel like it's going to sound really weird. Everything happens for a reason. And I think from every production, you learn something or you meet somebody. Like, I'll always meet somebody after a show like this. Some people, it's their first comedy show, like, wow, this was amazing. I'm like, and it's just like it's a crazy experience. So, like, I love producing shows. I'm going to keep doing it. And I think, like, when I start taking my act on the road, it's going to be great. Like, it's not going to just be comedy. It's going to be like a whole experience.
What kind of experience do you have in mind?
I don't know. No, like it's just gonna be just like vibe. Like you're in my fucking house. Like it's gonna be a vibe. Like and I also think like comedy is so much fun. So sometimes I'm like, why is this the funnest thing on earth? Like so dry.
Yeah.
Let's add some music. You know, let's turn it up.
You're really in for a treat when you do my show. Have you seen Dr. Brick? Do you know about Dr. Brick?
I don't know that.
You don't know Dr. Brick? Okay, so if you guys have been to a Ted Jones comedy show before, Comedy Night with Ted Jones, you'll know that Dr. Brick is in the corner beatboxing the whole show. So instead of music in between comics, so Dr. Brick will come on in the beginning of the show and be like, "What's up, guys? Everything you're about to hear is made by the human male."
I love that.
I'll do that for 5 minutes. Yeah. Give it up for the host of the Ted Jones World podcast, Ted Jones Vlog. Ladies and gentlemen, Ted Jones. Woo, woo. Come out. Dr. Break. Nice work. Boom, boom, boom. I do 15 minutes on top, 12 to 15. You're ready to go. Let's go. So whatever, do 12 to 15 minutes up top. Bring out the next 6 to 7 comics, whatever. They're doing 10 to 12 minutes, something like that. Maybe guest spot in there doing 7 minutes. And in between comics, which I've noticed sometimes when I don't have Dr. Break, and if you're listening, Dr. Break, this is where you're very valuable, is from my set to the next comic to the comic after that to comic after that. If it's not like a big production at a theater or something, chances are there's not music in between each comic unless you have somebody on the DJ booth, which doesn't always happen. Like at the stand, there's not somebody at the DJ booth. So you kind of rely on the loud claps in between, Onika, like when she hosts, she's like, okay, clap it up, clap, 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 clap. She does the wave. That's great. Yeah, that's great. I love it when she does that. But like if you're not doing something between the comic being in the back, coming on stage, it tends to get a little quiet. So Dr. Brick, like, please bring out Glorey, Mora.
I don't like the awkward silence.
Yeah, and there's none. There's none there, which is great. And I think the energy is really what I look to bring forth when I put together these comedy shows. Good energies.
It's a cute vibe.
Yeah.
It's a vibe.
It's cool. Yeah. I saw you. When were you there? You were there like a month ago, February.
The March show.
Something.
The March has been long.
It was March?
Yeah.
March has been that long? Yeah. No, I think it was end of February because I think I remember that show.
Okay.
Potentially. You came with your glasses. How well? Do you have contacts?
Yeah, I can't see without
I have contacts. What number are you?
I'm
1, 2,
like
3.
-6.
3. 6?
6.60.
Oh, man. That's pretty good. Are you going to get LASIK surgery?
My doctor said that everyone at some point needs reading glasses, so there's no point of getting LASIK.
But -6 is tough.
I mean, I haven't been able to see for a long time. It's a little too late now.
So you can get it done. So my dad had really, really bad eyes. Like he couldn't even see the alarm clock when he was like 15 years old right in front of him. Wow. He got LASIK surgery and now he just needs reading glasses, but he said it was like life-changing. And I have half as bad eyes as you, and I could potentially see myself doing it. They apparently have these new drops that have been fixing eyes. Yeah.
Drops fixing eyes.
Yeah. I have to send it to you. I've talked about it here on the podcast.
I might need that.
Yeah. So instead of it's in trial right now, but like I think it just like strengthens your cornea. It's also crazy that we were born with bad eyes.
No, I can't
like,
see
what?
shit every morning.
Like I don't understand. Every other sense is great on everybody. Just your hearing goes out when you're 60, but your eyes, you can be 5 years old and you can't see anything.
I couldn't see shit for a long time. Yeah, I mean,
they didn't know that your like family didn't know that you had bad eyes.
No, I have my glasses since like 2nd grade. I've been made fun of since 2nd grade.
Oh, okay. Why?
Well, probably since I couldn't speak English when I first started.
Oh my gosh, so, you don't have a lick of an accent.
Because now my Spanish is bad.
Oh, sí, yo hablo español un poco, no mucho.
That's Ted back in bitches.
Let's go, bro. Spanish 4, baby. Speaking of bagging bitches, as you said, I have really not spent so much time since, I retired from my dad's company with any ladies of any sort. Yeah.
You're lying.
I have not. No, I swear.
You cover your bases.
I swear. Glorey, I've been on one date, and I have a bit about this date. So if you guys hear this.
After this, I want to ask you a question.
If you guys hear this on stage, laugh, okay?
I'm
so I was about to go on a date with this girl. We matched on a dating app. I saw the show that she was on, this Netflix show, in her bio. She had this. She was on a reality show on Netflix. So I saw it. Watched the entire first. I can't say the show because I know exactly who it is. Not Love Is Blind, but a very specific show. So watched the full first season, and then I went on a date with her. I had to pretend like I knew nothing about her the whole day. That was the one time I've been on a date since. I went with drinks with a girl in Miami, whatever. But I've seen her before. That was the only date I've gone on in New York in the past almost year, 11 months.
But at least you know one day that's gonna happen to you, Ted, and someone's gonna know your entire life and act like they don't know you at dinner.
Yeah. That's very true. I listened to his entire podcast.
Yeah,
with the vlog. You're so right. So I don't even feel bad about doing that, okay?
People do that to me all the time. I'm like, I never told you that. How do you know that?
Or like they watch the Vice on your profile, like what I did. There you
go.
go.
No, but sometimes like I'll post things that I think nobody ever looks at, and then somebody will say it in real life.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, this
that happens
creepy.
to me too.
I don't like,
yeah.
But I mean, if this person was a public figure, you also want to make sure you're cool. So you don't want to be like, yeah, I saw you on TV, I'm a fan. Because I don't like when people get, I don't like fan energy. Like when people are like, you do comedy, that's so amazing. I'm like, I'm also a regular person.
But also if they're hitting on you, that's extremely weird.
No.
Could be a turnoff.
Yeah, and then like the guys have the same 5 lines. Like, I'm funny too.
Oh,
Shut the fuck up.
Tell me a joke.
Yeah.
Shut up!
Right. But like they want to, sometimes, and I feel bad because my family and my friends will do this, right? Like I have a long week and they want to know about comedy, which is a natural thing to do. But I'm exhausted. I want to just be here and not talk to you guys about comedy. I want to talk about fruits.
It's also the most interesting thing at a dinner table.
No, it is.
Always. Like almost 100% of the time,
all the time,
nobody does anything more interesting than comedy.
Yeah.
And people know what you do. You know, you're at a table, you're like, wait, what do you do? You work in whatever the shit you're doing?
Right. But I wonder why that is. Like, people are really fascinated by comedians.
They are. Because that's one job I think that people really can't see themselves doing. Or they'll shake in their freaking boots. Like acting, yes. You give somebody a script. Okay, give me 5 minutes. I'll see how great I can do this here. Okay, improv, maybe I can go on there and make shit up. I can do well. Stand up, I have to stand there for 10 minutes and do lines that I've memorized for how long, to try and make these people laugh. That's intimidating AF, I feel like.
I can see that.
You know what I mean? What were you going to ask me before I spilled the beans on the Netflix
why are
date?
you single? What happened to your...
I just have... I feel like I've been making up for lost time.
What do you mean
over the past year? When I was working, full-time in my dad's company and I really wasn't focusing so much energy towards comedy. I really feel like that was a large time in my life.
Now so you could...
I mean, going on a date, what am I'm drinking on the date. What am I spending $100 on a date? What am I... wasting 2 hours. You know what I mean? Like, it takes up a lot of time. And if I'm not super into it, I think like I hesitate. I think twice. Now back, a couple years ago, I was going on maybe a date a week, something like that. And like, I just don't see myself having time to do that. And, I'd much rather get a good night's sleep or go to somebody else's show, edit the podcast, edit the vlog.
Your priorities sleep versus love.
Right now, I'm confident that it will come.
Yeah, my first 2 years without when I was doing comedy, I always reference the first 2 years because it was pre-pandemic. Pandemic kind of changed things a little bit.
Okay,
like we also started like having a life or not a life. I don't know. It depends. But I wasn't dating for the first 2 years. So people was like, how are you getting so much done? I'm like, I'm not distracted. I am so clear on my goals. And then I started dating, and now I feel like I've gained weight, and I'm moving slow. You're a guy. You're not going to say anything.
No, please.
But I feel like I'm moving slower than I would have done because my mind is, like, muddled.
Well, that almost seems natural, though. Like if I were to go out and get a girlfriend, okay, maybe instead of going out and, going to a comedy show that night and meeting a couple cool people that would have potentially booked me the next week, okay, I'm going on a date with my girl, coming back, going to sleep early. That, me single straight arrow didn't happen because of that potential date. So I'm not like avoiding it, with everything that I am giving, but like, I mean, if I'm not into it, I'm just not into it. I'd rather do something that could potentially benefit me.
How do you know if a guy is lying to you or if he's really into it? You're a Scorpio, so they're masters of this.
I think just general interest, like if I match with a girl on a dating app, I'll give like a few lines back and forth, but then there's always a time where I can be like, oh, okay, you're giving me too much here on the dating app. I don't want to continue to the date. Oh, or as shallow as it sounds. Oh, or your picture is not as great as I potentially...
As the Bachelorette. I'm kidding. I'm sorry, you don't even have a reel. You don't even have a reel. I can't go on a date with you because you don't have a reel on your YouTube channel. Next.
My followers too low. That's also something, like I think being a shallow guy in terms of the past year has made my vision more clear in terms of what I want to do specifically. Like I've had 6 girlfriends I would consider girlfriends in my life. I've hung out with a ton of different girls in my life, and I've had that time I have, for years. And I think just like 1 year straight, I don't know, couldn't be so bad of just like focusing on me.
Yeah, I'm feeling the same way. I'm like, I kind of want to do 2 years, like without, but these years fly by. They're flying by because I was thinking about going back to school, but it was gonna be a secret. Yeah, I was gonna go back to school and get a master's as a secret.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why though? What was your thought process in doing that? And I assume you're not.
I'm just an overachiever. Yeah, so I was gonna go.
You like to do a lot of things.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that when the whole package of the legend is packaged, it's like,
and she does.
Yeah, because when people find out shit, like they're like, wait, you did this and you did that. I'm like, how did you have to find the time? I'm like, bitch, I'm an overachiever. I'm a fucking genius. You know, I really wasn't gifted and talented when I was younger. I'm like smart.
Was that school program?
Yeah, it's like this program where they like put the kids that are like, I don't even know what the process is. But I wasn't gifted and talented without speaking English. Too.
Oh, I was like in the opposite of that, and I spoke English.
You're like, you trying to give me
I
this
got extra time for SATs.
You gave me this whole story about you were a star tennis player, but you just needed extra
I was an
time.
athlete, you know what I mean? I was just like the jock. In the class. Yeah, exactly.
It's okay.
Yeah, whatever, it's fine. I don't mind. Having an athletic background, I think, tennis athletic background, I think has helped me on stage in terms of feeling comfortable, because like, I mean, it's all you on the stage, all you in the tennis court, and just being, so serious about tennis for so many years. I realized that it really is all me in terms of career choice.
Talking about the stage. So I feel like when you're on stage, what do you want people to leave from your set with? Like, also, I've been all over the place. My brain is a little foggy, so I'm all over the place.
I like that question.
Yeah, what is that experience for Ted Jones?
Well, I think when I go on stage, I want people to know that I have the highest amount of energy that, you'll see on stage. Not like in terms of like a Jim Carrey, a crazy character person, wild on stage, but like when you see me go up there, you know that like, oh, this guy doesn't give a shit if like one joke hits or another joke doesn't hit, So I think going up there, what's up, guys? Welcome to the stand. What's up? You having a good time? Oh, you right there. What's up? You guys dating? Does he like to be the little spoon? No. What's up? Yeah. Oh, you over there? What's your favorite WNBA team? Oh, this guy. Like, where's he coming out with all this stuff? Whatever it is. I think it's mostly I want people to come away with, that Ted Jones has great energy. He's super fun. I want to bring my girlfriend back to this date. Like, maybe I was intimidated looking at him first on the stage, but he talks about how people think he's gay and it's funny and stuff like that. Back in the a few years ago. No, I know, but I think that like it's a good thing to have. Like I'll compare myself to people think I'm gay because I'm vegan, or people think I'm gay because I like the gym or stuff like that. So I'll address all the qualities. Yeah, so I'll address the things up front. But I think what I would like people to take away from me on stage is I have extremely good energy. Some of the best energy I think
you do have good energy as a person.
And I think that transfers to the stage pretty well.
I like that. Yeah, I was gonna say something. Oh, people think I'm a bitch. That's what I'm trying to combat.
But why do people think that?
You know what, Ted? The thing is that I realize as a Gemini, I adapt to people's energy, right? So like if you're giving me an energy, I'm gonna give it back to you. So sometimes when I give people the same energy they're giving me, they don't like it. But that
just like wouldn't work with people, because people sometimes are just rude.
I'm literally mimicking you. Like, this is your energy. So people don't like themselves and they blame it on me. And I'm just like,
you're mad at your dad, not me.
That's not my problem. But I also think that like people also project so much, right? Like I went through, again, these 2 years in the first years were very important because it was about myself. I was really thinking about like who I wanted to be and really putting things into place of like, I was finding like, after I quit my job, I was like, I just don't want to have problems anymore. Like, what is the issue? Why am I having problems? And I'm like, okay, I put like these things, I don't know how to describe it. It's going to sound crazy, but I put like these things in my brain of like, okay, if this happens, it's not a bad day. It's a bad moment. Like I trained myself to like see things a little bit more like if customer service is bad, I'm like, you know what? She's having a bad day. My life is great. This has nothing to do with me. So I think like, I forgot where I was going with this, but the point is that people project onto me like, why is she so positive? Why is she so happy or whatever? I'm like, we're all going to die. That was my, I had an existential crisis. I'm like, we're literally all going to die. So why am I going to be angry? I'm going to take my day very peacefully. So yeah, but people just project onto me. I don't know why. I can't describe it.
I think a good thing or a good words of advice. I can't remember who said this, but your life is for you. It's not happening to you. It's happening for you.
Oh, I like that.
Maybe it's like a Tony Robbins thing. You ever get into Tony Robbins?
I like that's one of the people that be giving out quotes and shit. There's
him. Exactly. Yeah, I got all these books down here.
It's him. It's David. It's a few people out there. You know who I fuck with? Some guy Maxwell. I don't know his name. He's like a leadership person.
Comic?
No. He's just like he wrote a book.
He's just a guy.
Yeah, he has like I think his name is John Maxwell, whatever. I stumbled around the book. It's a good book. It's like
is that the guy who owns the coffee?
No, that's like the house Maxwell house. He's
that is a Maxwell. Wait, John Maxwell. Let's look this guy up.
He's on LinkedIn. I don't know how I stumbled upon him, but I got his book. It's like a daily reader, and every day it teaches you how to be a leader.
The Laws of Leadership. 5 levels of leadership, developing the leader within you. Okay, so, and you like all this leadership stuff.
He's a quote guy
15
too.
Invaluable laws of growth, how successful people think,
Why
qualities
of
a leader. No, I love it. I love it. I love it. I was thinking like, this is great. Is John Maxwell a billionaire? He's a net worth of 10 mil. Well, solid.
That's not bad.
Yeah. So you're a quote person too.
I am a quote person. I like quotes because it makes you realize that you're not the only person going through it.
Absolutely. And people continuously say, you just got to work hard and don't give up. Those are like the two main drivers I think I've heard in terms of successful people being successful in life. Work hard and don't give up.
I think it's more like learning why. Because I used to be a work hard person. I was like working mad hard at work. And I'm like, why am I doing it? Like, I think knowing your why is very important.
Totally.
Yeah.
What you need to know your why over your how.
Yeah.
Why leads to how. Because
why is going to get you, like it sounds really stupid and like cliche, but it's going to get you through the tough days. Like everybody has tough days in comedy. They're like, you know, there are moments where everybody wants to quit at some point. Not like for real, but like, am I, like maybe you went through a thing or like you didn't get something or whatever. It's like, what am I doing this for, whatever. And that why is going to be the reason why you keep going. I'm just saying, yeah, why are you making that face?
You don't like this face? I was like, an agreed face. I was like, you're right. Because I was thinking, I bombed the show last night that I was at a comedy shop. You been to comedy shop recently?
Let's talk about that. Yeah, it's nice. I like that.
So, I mean, it was fine. It was a producer show. And then I was thinking to myself, I was like, you know what? I'd rather bomb there doing 10 minutes than doing 15 minutes at one of my shows.
Yeah, but bombing is important.
Yeah, and it's all relative. You know, like bombing for me, I think is, you know, when I'm not getting as many jokes as I'm used to on these particular jokes, whatever. Like there were still laughs and stuff. It wasn't like crickets up there. Wow. But I think it's just all in people's heads and how far they're willing to take their passion and dream.
But you know that we are really hard on ourselves. Like I remember before I was a comic, I used to go to comedy shows like, this is great. And even like the bad comics, I'm like, that person didn't like resonate with me, but I had a great time. And I think on the other side, like these minutes matter so much to us. And it's like, we suck. And it's like the audience isn't walking away thinking you sucked. Yeah. Your peers are. But the audience thought you were nice. Like, I gotta talk bad shit about you. But I'm not afraid of a bomb. I'm really not.
What's on tap for you going forward? Getting this hour together, touring. I know that you're gonna be putting this, or actually, we might have to edit this part out.
We're editing some shit.
We might have to edit this part out. Why? But are you doing your special in Spanish and English?
Oh, I'm dropping both of those.
So we're allowed to talk about it?
But it's gonna be in like 2-3 years.
Okay, but you are gonna potentially do that.
Absolutely, that's a great business idea. Yeah, that's 2 direct deposits from HBO. You know, or another network.
Or Netflix.
Whoever wants to pay.
Whoever responds to my DM
whoever
first.
Responds to Ted's DMs, that's what I'm going with. You know, I think Amazon might be first.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah. Either way. Glorey, this has been an amazing almost hour we've had you on here.
It's an hour?
What do you want to let the listeners and viewers know before we get out of here?
Well, I want you guys to follow me on Instagram if you could spell my name, because it's always hard.
Spell it out. We'll put it right down there.
It's just GLORELYS Glorelys Mora.
And you're Glorelys Mora on
everything.
Okay.
Everything. But I had fun talking to you, Ted, outside the club.
This was actually very fun. Yeah, outside the club, outside the stand.
Yeah, no, it gets intimate. We got intimate. I think
this
that's
is great.
Cute.
You're great. I think we've expanded our relationship.
We did.
Thank you for coming.
I hate Scorpios less today.
Absolutely. Glorey, Mora, thank you guys so much. And we'll see you next time. Peace.
Thank you, Ted.